entertaining the Filipinos and OFWs around the world. Streaming live on www.facebook.com/DZRJ810 AM or on YouTube, channel RJAM News. To all Teleradio Bandido viewers and listeners, you can now watch Teleradio Bandido on our new YouTube channel, RJAM News. Hit the subscribe button and like the video. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified when a new video gets uploaded. Don't miss out on our dynamite lineup.
A straight question deserves a straight answer. Presenting straight from Radyo Bandido in partnership with the Philippine Star. An ongoing question and answer series with candidates for the May 2022 elections. This week's candidate, Bongbong Marcos, answers the question straight. This is straight from Radyo Bandido.
Senator Marcos, of course, the martial law is an election issue.
Senator Marcos, you are leading in the polls in spite of many sectors hitting you. You have shown equanimity and you never hit back, which is good, because you seem like you want to reach out and unite the country. My question is, will you and how?
We must. Again, the present administration cannot continue with the polarization that there are some sectors, especially in the political arena, seem to be intent on making worse and worse and dividing the country. If there is one lesson that we have learned in this pandemic is that every Filipino needs help. It doesn't matter how powerful you are. It doesn't matter how rich you are. It doesn't matter what your position is in society. Everyone needs help to recover from the pandemic. And we cannot expect others to help us, other countries, even our friends around the world, because they have their own problems. So the only one, ang lagi kong nababanggit, ang maaasahan lang nating natutulong sa Pilipino, yung mga Pilipino din. And to be able to do that, to be able to recover, we have to bring Filipinos together. Look, I understand that there are many positions in the political spectrum that we face. But I think the one thing we can agree on is that we love our countrymen. We love our country. So let's work with that as the beginning point. And that's when I talk about unity, that's when I talk about pagkakaisa. Yan ang aking ibig sabihin. Pagkasunduan muna natin na tayo naman mga Pilipino, nagmamahal tayo sa kapwa Pilipino at mahal natin ang bansang Pilipinas. Kaya lahat ng gagawin natin, kahit na hindi tayo magkasundo sa lahat ng ibang bagay, doon naman tayo magkasundo. Tulungan muna natin ang Pinas. Tulungan muna natin ang Pinoy. That's what I mean about unification. It is sometimes misinterpreted as a political unification. Well, maybe that will come too, but that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. And so we need to find the best people, the best Filipinos to come and help government, to come and help private sector, to come and help ordinary citizens. We need everyone. We need everybody's help. We cannot say, hindi, kami lang ang marunong, kami lang ang magaling, kami lang ang tama, kami lang ang mahusay, kami lang ang mabuting tao, kayo, masasama kayong lahat, kung hindi tayo magkasama. Hindi po pwede yan. Walang mangyayari sa atin. That kind of politics, yung mga cancel culture, yung mga ganun yung mga nangyayari ngayon. Ang naitutulong sa tao yan eh. So we have to really change our thinking and move away from this polarizing politics, and we have to find a better way and unify the country, because we have very many problems that we face, and there's much work that needs to be done, and not one person can do it, not the government by itself can do it, not the private sector by itself can do it. but we have to really all come together, agree, come to a consensus on what we need to do to bring the country forward, and work in that direction. And that's what I mean about pagkakaisa and unity.
Senator Marcos, just to add to that, we know that this is your campaign message. Does it also mean that you're willing to bring in members of the opposition when you are in the administration to come in and help?
When the elections are over, there is no longer opposition and there is no longer, wala na yan. Tapos na yung eleksyon namili na yung tao. Ngayon, lahat tayo pwede ba mag-uusap tayo kung ano yung maitutulong ninyo? Are you ready to help the government? Ito yung iniisip namin na kailangan gawin. It turns out that despite the fact that you came from another party, you are the best. You're the best expert on this subject. Please come and help us because we need your help. So we need ang daming magaling Pilipino. It's just ang dami talaga nating magagaling na Pilipino, and they are excelling abroad. Filipinos always excel. Let's bring the talent back here to the Philippines. Let's bring the talent. Let's collect the talent and apply it all to this recovery that we're talking about. Recovery from the pandemic, recovery of the economy in the context of the global economy, etc. We have to understand COVID changed everything. And the old solutions, the economic theories, the post-industrial, neo-Keynesian, all of these economic theories change, no longer apply because everything changed. And we have to have these fine minds that I know Filipinos have to analyze and to be able to understand the direction that the global economy is moving, where are the areas that the Philippines can participate and flourish. And this is the kind of advice, this is the kind of thinking that we are going to need to be successful in the next administration. So the political color of someone will become secondary to their expertise and their willingness to work to make things better.
Very well said, sir.
That was straight from Radyo Bandido. Stay tuned daily till Election Day for this ongoing series.
Good morning. Good morning, Manila. Good morning, Philippines. Good morning, world. Welcome to Education Radio. And today, I have a very special guest. And yesterday when we spoke, we were like, I miss you, Sec Ernie. So welcome to Education Radio, Sec Ernie Abella. Thank you for being with us today. And as a policy in our show, because this is about education, today, you are our teacher, and we, the teachers, are your students. Please help us enlighten the youth, as usual, because that is the task of all the teachers. So welcome, former spokesperson Ernesto Abella and DFA Undersecretary for Strategic Communications. Thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you, Pia. Thank you for this opportunity. Scary naman yung na ako pa magtuturo ngayon.
Yeah. Well, for us, especially because we have a lot of experts on the show, we are able to use this in our classrooms, with all the youth who are banking on us and oftentimes are already engaging in healthy debates with us, right? So for now, I think we can say that it's our job to hone their critical thinking skills, and it seems that they're very active once and for all, but there's still a lot of work to do.
That's right. I agree. Go ahead, Pia.
So particularly, sir, is your background on education, because you are also an educator. And we would like to know some of your experiences in this sector.
Well, basically, regarding education, I am the president, or I was the president of a secondary school in Davao. It started as a local church school, kindergarten, and then it developed all the way to K to 12. Of course, we also have ambitions for opening a tertiary institution, natural, no?
Yeah.
On the other hand, the main reason, I suppose, that I was inspired to go into education was primarily because of my exposure. My mother taught at the local college, and if I remember right, she loved literature. And it really spilled over. She would produce plays and stuff like that. But the one thing that struck me is that, that school had a lot of, bugoy-bugoy, what they call bugoy. These guys would cut all the classes except her class.
Mm-hmm.
They would cut everything, but they would make sure to attend her class. Why? Because she had a way of connecting literature, let's say, to life, and to be able to impart certain principles and perspectives. Having said that, I went to a public school for my elementary, and then I had some very inspiring teachers. But from the time I was about 11, all the way till I was about 21, I was with Jesuits, either in Davao or in Manila. And the Jesuits have a particular way of teaching, which I attribute to what they call Socratic. The Socratic method, where they ask and you answer. And this is one thing that I've seen, that when we established our own school, it's called South Point School. It's in Davao. One of the things that we tried to do was to be able to impart to the teacher that she's not just was this idea that you're not just putting knowledge, you're not pouring facts into the students, but you're actually educare, taking out of them. Taking out of them insights, and it takes a little bit of courage to be able to say
Yes.
what you think, hindi ba? So, and that is one of the things that and in fact, one of the most inspiring experiences I had was whenever I would usually give the commencement exercise, what do you call it, message, the final message for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, I would usually spend time with the graduates, and I would ask them, so what was the most important thing you learned from our school? And during that time, many times they would answer, I learned personal responsibility, which I thought was great,
That's great. Yes. That's something every teacher would want to hear, actually. It's like saying, my job here is done. Well, apart from this, you were also the spokesperson for President Duterte. What are a few of your learnings from that you can share with us, sir?
All right. The first thing that I had to tell myself was this: it's not my place to give my opinion or my understanding or my take about what he says. Or my job was to find out what the context of what he said was, especially with the president, our current president, because he has his own conversational style. So I had to determine that. And but it was quite easy because he gave me the technique. He said, listen to what I say. It's strange, no? But dapat kasi nakikinig ka talaga.
Yes.
But he said, listen to what I say, because I realized that these are the manner, the style may be slightly different, but technically he's putting out his policies out there when he speaks. So it's very important, because he may talk about a certain topic, but several times, 3, 4, 5 times. But each time there will be a slight variation. And those are the things that you need to watch out for, because that is what he is emphasizing. So I learned to listen.
Nice one. Are you taking notes to all our students out there? We learned to listen. Okay. Next question, sir. I'll jump now on your to your platform.
Okay.
Okay. There are very interesting things that have hit me in terms of your platform. One is civil society involvement.
Mhm.
Thank you, God, that I'm not alone because I'm a writer just like you. And oftentimes, I've also said that civil society engagement is very important. And, government, you said, can only give this much, and the rest is all of us, right? So, since your platform is, I think, 3 or 4 things like continuing past socio-economic agenda, your civil society involvement, at ang gobyernong nararamdaman, how could you explain this to us further, especially for the young people, so that they can participate?
All right. Thank you for asking that. That really gives me a platform. Uh, Let me explain. No? First, our vision for the nation. Big deal. No? The context of the context of the platform is this. We found out that number one, there is such a huge gap between the rich and the poor in the Philippines. We have like 10 billionaires on Forbes rich list. We have nearly 400,000 really rich people. And yet we have at least 23 to 26 million people who are on the poverty level. And 12.5 million of that are people who go to bed hungry at night. If you look at that, parang hindi makatarungan. We can talk, until our face is blue, no, about GDP, about how the economy is rising. But while these people are there and hungry, and by the way, I read a research paper that said it may be that there are nearly 78 million people already who are below poverty level. It's the pandemic, no. So our thing is this: number one, we need to address that. And so the foundation of the vision is to basically make sure that we have, in Tagalog, I would call it makatarungan, mapayapa, at masayang bayan, a righteous nation. Meaning to say, nobody should go to bed hungry while, that sort of thing. So number one, how do we intend to do that? Let me explain now the platform. How do we intend to do this? The platform is standing on 3 legs. Number one, what we call patas na lipunan, which is a just society, in which case we're saying everybody should be heard, not just the one making laws, not just the ultra rich, but also the ordinary mamamayan, so that we are able to balance everything. There's such a term as called subsidiarity, where the local problem or a local experience can have a local solution, and that means listening to, again, the word is listening. To the locals, where and whatever sector yan, babae, lalaki, youth, no, okay. So number one, if there should be local civil society participation. Can I have a little? I'll give you a short example, no?
Sure, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. One example is this, kasi I don't know if I shared this with you. I think I shared this with Cheryl Cosim yesterday. I was at DFA, and we have what we call town halls. Parang ganito, but
yes,
a bigger thing, And one of the guys said, "Sir, sakaling maluklok kayo, ano po ang pwede niyong gawin para sa akin?" Kasi sabi niya, uuwi na ako. Gusto ko na mag-for good, no? Gusto na umuwi talaga permanently. So sabi niya, baka wala akong makontrabaho dahil may edad na ako. Tsaka mataas na sweldo ko. And ako naman, wow, very, ang kaya natin. Meron tayong mga OFW integration programs. Ay, sabi niya, "Sir, dumaan na kami dyan. Ang dami ko na nadaan ng ganyan." Sabi niya, ano naman? Sabi niya, ang tinuturo sa amin, gumawa ng balot o kaya magpalago ng tilapia. Sabi ko, ikaw, ano naman ang gusto mong gawin? Welding. Hindi ba parang ang layo ng... Ang layo, yung welding tsaka itlog ng itong balot. So I realized, with all due respect to our government agencies, we do a lot of programs, but I think it's because we think we know. We tend to think like experts. We should not. We should listen. We should listen. And kahit na simple lang, yung gusto nila, di gumawa sila ng mga, i-finance natin sila, baka gusto nila mag-set up ng sariling eskwelahan. And later, hindi na sila yung lalabas. They can be the small company that sends out welders.
Yes.
Expert welders, hindi ba? So pwede yon. So yan. So number one, dapat patas, dapat naririnig lahat. Pangalawa, yung gobyernong nararamdaman. Balikan ko ito because yung malaking agwat, isasabihin ng ating economic managers, no offense to them, they're really bright guys. But for example, they say, our GDP rose, tumaas, ang galing. But sabi ng tao, hindi ko nararamdaman niya. Ano ba ibig sabihin tumaas ang GDP? Ibig sabihin yumaman tayo. Pero hindi ko nararamdaman yung yaman. Bakit? Gutom pa ako eh. So ang atin is we make sure, yeah, fine, you're tumaas ang GDP. But let's make sure na our intention, PIA, is to be able to raise up, to iangat from itong 23 to 26 million or God forbid, 80 million. But at least 12.5 million people should no longer go to bed hungry at night.
Yeah.
And we intend to do that through developing the agri industry. And it's going to be quite exciting, especially for, we'd like to create an agricultural ecosystem na kung saan yung research and development, yung mga estudyante, they can research, or we can develop new seeds, new pampataba, and then all the way to marketing. So yung mga may marketing technique, we know how to market it. We provide, anong tawag nito? Agricultural community centers, community agriculture center where they can borrow trucks, they can borrow hand tillers, they can borrow, kung hindi pa scalable talaga yung lugar. Then we can have food processing, manufacturing, all the way to marketing again, all the way to domestic tourism, all the way to mga, so we create an entire ecosystem, which brings you to the third. The third leg, Pia, is really exciting. This is what I'm really excited.
I'm excited.
We have kasi tawag niyan matatag na bayan. Matatag na bayan is resilient nation. But how do you make a nation resilient? Of course, structures and stuff like that. But at the very end, resilience is based on a patriotic society, a patriotic nation, a people who have a confident national identity. And this is where we would like to bring in the young people. Ito yung hamon ko sa nakikinig. Sa lahat na nakikinig, ganito. Una hinahamon ko kayo na sumali sa ating National Volunteer Corps.
Yes.
National Volunteer Corps within ages 18 to 35. Para sila local Peace Corps. And they will, yung kung maraming challenges. Ang isa, meron tayong Ate Kuya program where they work with nasa primary, secondary schools, no? And then they will help the young kids learn mastery. Yung mastery of reading, writing, and arithmetic. And Pia, I don't know if you're excited about it, but I'm excited. It must be first in the mother tongue.
Yes. Agree, 100%.
Dapat mother tongue. Because how can they understand concepts? How can they understand zero? How can they understand how can they understand plus and minus and
even colors for that?
Kung di nila alam in the mother tongue, yun. So yan, and then definitely that, and then oh wow,
it's exciting.
I know.
Because
and the idea is this: we're planning on putting out an app, so that actually people out there can make applications to jobs in the Philippines. You know that there are 6,000 appointed jobs in the executive office.
Imagine.
And then another 185,000 unfilled positions in civil service. So in other words, there are jobs in the government. There are jobs actually. And there are bright young kids there, bright young people who have a passion to serve. This is the time to serve. Saka na yung para sa sarili, tanim muna tayo sa bayan. And so these are some of the things that I can talk the whole day.
That's very exciting because like I mentioned yesterday, of course, we have some of the youth who would rather not participate. They feel like, ang gulo-gulo nito, so I'm just going to do my own thing and get my own career and just, focus on that. But when we try to challenge them with exactly what you're doing, they ask the question of where can we do this and how, right? And you're saying there's so many jobs in government that are not filled, right? And the how, like what you said, is this Peace Corps, or this big brother system, ate kuya, which actually we do in school, right? We have the high school kids mentor some of the grade school kids, and they learn from each other. Because right now in the education scenario, everybody, to me at least, seems so intelligent, okay? From the teacher to the student, and sometimes nga, the teacher complains pa na parang my student knows more pa than me, di ba? In a certain field. And we just advise them to say, just listen, because it's a learning, right? But the whole point of it is because everybody seems to be pouring in something for everyone else in a basket. It becomes like some kind of wealth of knowledge. And it's exciting, as what you're saying, because the question now is, how can we do this? How can we bring it all out, right? And it's possible. I think in your platform, it's possible. And so I move forward to this next question, because you were practically explaining your plan also on an agri powerhouse. The reason why this is exciting as well for me is because I do remember a couple of years ago when I went to Spain, I decided that trip of mine would actually focus on agri-tourism. Okay. And there is where I learned how the young people no longer want to continue the businesses of their family, the business of their families that have been there for generations. Let's say breeding rabbits, growing horchata, all these products that we have, or breeding pigs, like that. So instead, the old people were just getting old, right? Except I learned from one family how one son decided to really level it up. So he started to apply, like what you're saying, apps, different technological ways to bring this business up. And in fact, it was a time in a crisis. Do you think this is something that we can also incorporate in our government agencies more? Because we're talking about listening, right? And there are so many other programs offered, let's say in TESDA and all that, but it's not suitable, right? But since you're building this agri powerhouse, do you think this is something we can include even in traditional school?
Definitely. Ewan ko lang kung exactly pa, there's one way, kasi you mentioned traditional school, I suppose we can have some intro situations where they can, for example, the vocational, but what really fascinates me, maybe down the road, this can be done, or some form of it. We do have some of it in K to 12. Pero in Germany, I saw that starting from grade 4, meron silang tinatawag na parang streaming. Some people, kumbaga meron silang tinatawag na gymnasium or the university track. Then the other one is the professional track, yung Realschule, Hauptschule, and then the other one is called Realschule. Yung kumbaga yung these are people who would rather drive buses or that, do carpentry, stuff like that. In other words, from grade 4, they can start going towards those things already kung saan sila interesado. So that when they finish, let's say K to 10, ay pwede na sila, actually they can receive a certificate and then start doing what they want to do. They earn money earlier. Pwede sila magtrabaho earlier. On the other hand, those who want to go on into university, they can do that. And like I said, I think this is where we had an area of congruence. Yung mga tao na, for example, interesado talaga sa science, then sure, poor science, but dapat katapat yung hums, yung humanity.
Yes, I agree. Humanities.
Yung para yung utak lumawak, hindi lang, I'm creating this AI, I'm creating this robot. Pero ano yan? How does it relate? Paano magkakaroon ng meaning to? Ano big sabihin mo? Batik na lahat, wala nang, paano yung tao? Anong gagawin ng tao? Hindi ba?
Right.
So in other words, so that magkaroon ng meaning, ng kahulugan ang ginagawa natin.
And like you said, it has to be congruent.
Correct.
Right? It has to be congruent. That's why the show, we say we bring the streets into the classroom to the streets, right? So now you're talking about offering this in a curriculum where it becomes meaningful.
Correct. Tama.
I am in agreement with you. But on the other hand, sir, there are civil society, we're challenging them, right? And again, I'll say, like, for example, in Spain, there is a very poor pueblo, we call it. I forget the name. But from that pueblo arose a very rich businessman who owns a porcelain business.
Okay.
So what he did, because he became very, very rich, he started to give back to his pueblo. And everything there is, from the bathrooms to the walls, even in the public school, was made out of his tiles and all his business, right? And that gave meaning to the people, because they felt that there are others out there, someone who was part of their community who was giving back, and they felt inspired to even work for this person's company. Do you think this is something that we can do more and have a deeper understanding of it, especially for the ones who will come out of school and look for jobs?
Yeah, definitely, Pia. Kasi, in fact, I'd really like to back, we'd really like to back more Filipino-owned industries. Kasi, of course, economically, we want to get foreign direct investments. It seems to be the magic bullet that people want. More jobs, more money coming in. But actually, ang nabe-benefit niya, no offense man, is iilang tao lang talaga. So what we want to do is, for example, katulad niyan, there's a woman, there's somebody, alam mo yung, she does, what do you call it? Health supplements para mangustin or something like that. Ang lawak talaga ng ginagawa niya. In fact, we could truly upgrade. We could actually upgrade all these supplements that we have, because we have an amazing, supplements. And not only that, ito talaga, I notice also your skin kasi.
I use BCO. The only thing that I use.
Kasi I was a social entrepreneur.
Yes.
And I found out that ang pinakamataas, isa sa pinakamataas talaga na pagkakakitaan is skincare.
Mm-hmm.
Yung skincare. Sabi ko, ganun ba yun? Siyempre, you have to, ganun ba? So, ang sinasabi ko is, if we devote more time, like for example, if you go to Korea, my gali, they actually sell you stuff for your skin yung galing sa snails.
Yes!
Sabi ko, pero yung magkakakitaan pala yan, yung magkakakitaan.
Yeah.
So, ang puntos ko is that we should, I would say, you were asking about, is it possible for local entrepreneurs to grow big? Yes. Definitely, local entrepreneurs can grow big. Kaya nga, we gusto natin sila i-partner sa, hindi lang naman lahat puro science. Part of it kasi nagbabago, the world is shifting. And it's more towards well-being. Mm-hmm. And this can become, some people, many, many years back, 10, 20, 30 years back, 20 years back, people are talking about the health industry, the well-being industry, as $1 trillion industry. Well, it's finally come. It's here, it's finally here. And so this is one of the competitive advantages of the Philippines, domestic tourism, yung domestic wellness.
Yes.
Hindi naman kailangan lahat San Benito Farm.
I agree. That's
San Benito, pero,
yeah.
You can have others na medyo, hindi naman low-end, but high quality, but affordable.
Affordable.
You can have that more and more, more and more. And besides, we can move it away. Kasi there are some countries that parang kunyari well-being, but actually it's a sex trade. No. I'm talking about family wellness. I'm talking about more, more decent jobs for many more people.
Yes.
That's possible. And it can be all related somehow. It's agri ecosystem. For example,
I love it.
If you have farm resorts, yung wellness resorts, kung saan, where the kids, I stay in Tagaytay, Pia, and we go to, there's some restaurants we can go to sa may bandang silan. And these are like small kubos. Then sa gilid, they have pabo. They have
Yes.
chickens. They have just about everything. And kids love it kasi right now, hindi ba masyado ng techie ang mga bata.
Yes.
They need exposure. They need petting zoos. They need to be able to relate to, really first
Nature.
live
Life. Yeah. Life. We try to pull them. This has a balance, like you said.
Correct.
Right? It's a balance. So I'll move forward to on joblessness now. You are saying that reopening schools is part of solving also this area of joblessness. We have the reopening of schools. We have what we were talking about, supporting the small and medium enterprises.
Right.
And of course, reopening the tourism industry and a National Resilience Council. Can you explain this a little bit more for us?
Technically, of course, the reopening should be. We should from way back. I felt that one of the things that we should have done is, in terms of the pandemic, was engage in a lot of random clinical testings, free, so that we can determine kung aling areas ng city, ang lugar, ang talagang merong, hindi lang basta't may cases of COVID, pero may cases of, let's say, adverse reactions and or mortality rates. Mortality rates would be, kung mataas ang mortality rate, then that's where we lock down. Kung gano'n, then we find out. However, but on the other hand, tuloy-tuloy dapat yung flow of the day. Because 99% of our people actually are engaged in what? Micro, small, and medium industries.
Yes.
Hindi lang yung hospitality industry, kundi yung small scale, yung talagang buy and sell. And we should have more of that. And also to be able to engage, like for example, with the agriculture ecosystem that we want to be able to invite people to go back to the provinces and, for example, sumali sila ron. We can provide housing. Depende, no? Yeah, for example, especially for OFWs who are yung umuwi, we'd like to be able to provide, let's say, makipag-usap tayo. If you engage in agriculture, kunyari, they want to build, mga post-harvest facilities, or refrigeration plants, o kaya gumawa ng mga bangka, mga boats for our fishermen. Kunyari sa Cebu, Balamban is a thriving maritime industry, So kung pwede masuportahan natin gano'n, there would be a lot of jobs, and we could have a lot of jobs and a lot of engagements. And of course, their children, pwede din natin sila, like I said, pwede natin sila continue to ensure the continuity with the next generation by providing scholarships, mga scholarships for students, and maybe scholarship for students, also for teachers, so that meron talaga tayong continuity. So, yun ang plano natin talaga na matuloy-tuloy. And also, basically, going back, emphasizing local industries. Yeah.
I'm with you there. This is exciting because a lot of people that I know right now are realizing this, and they're actually thriving. It's starting small, but they're actually thriving in their small businesses. So on corruption naman, sir. Okay, again, I'll go back to the activation of civil society. The people that we have challenged here, like let's say Sec Esperon, I also spoke to him once and interviewed him once. And in my article, I said also that there's a part of civil society that needs to participate when it comes to the balik loob, right? Then I also had the same kind of dialogue with Sec Roy Simatu when it comes to the environment, where we challenge the civil society to take part in preserving their environment, right? Now, sir, on your end, what would you say? How could we activate civil society in terms of fighting corruption, where it's a rebalancing, again, as you say? I love this, actually, sir. It's a very nice concept, and also a shared responsibility.
Alam mo, Pia, I'm sure you know this, you've come across this, that the local government code actually states that 25%, there must be 25% of its activities must be participated in by civil society. meron talagang puwang. There really is a space in local government code for participation. It's not always done. Sometimes there's resistance, hindi talaga fully implemented, but the space is there. We don't need to fight for that. But the civil society just needs to be able to enter in. So what do? Basically, they look after law enforcement, they look after bids and awards. Dito yung corruption.
Yes.
Dapat tabayanin na yung bids and awards. Tingnan natin, tama ba yung polisiya, tama ba implementation, tama ba yung tama ba yung actual tenders, no? Yung tawag niyo, yung pagpapasa, to go through the policy so that it's actually given to the right people, to the right supplier with the right abilities, with yung tamang capacity. Aside from that, dapat sila inaantabayan nila education, and health. So
Yes.
and that's where actually there's a lot of corruption. There may be some corruption there. They could check. So in other words, hindi sila kailangan tumingin sa saan pa. Everything happens at the local level, and that's where the local civil society should be participating in. Most of the time kasi nakikita natin, and we usually connect civil society or with NGOs, with those rallying on the streets. No. These are ordinary people who are interesado talaga so that, bakit may rice hoarding ba dito sa maliit na bayan ng Tagum, Tugbuk, whatever,
Yeah.
wherever. Tingnan natin, bakit ganito, bakit ganyan, bakit mataas ang presyo nito, bakit meron tayo mga, for example, galing kami ng sa Nueva Ecija, bakit ang daming sibuyas na galing sa ibang bansa? We're onion producing plant.
Right? Why is that?
Sa tabi ng kalsada, puro yung kitang-kita mo yung mga net bag na galing sa kung saan sa malapit lang na bayan.
Yeah.
So ibig sabihin baka may smuggling, baka may so yun ang dapat matingnan nila. Hindi naman policing, but actually participation lang para maging patas yung laban.
Tama. I agree. One of your priority bills, sir, excuse me, and this is another interesting thing for me, is on the arts and entertainment industry.
Correct.
Being a marketing industry.
Correct.
We're also in film, so I hope all my film friends are listening, and they have been in the past years actually racking their brains on how to further promote this industry and how the government can help them.
Pia, I'm sure you watch Netflix.
Always.
Nakita mo, grabe yung dati puro Hollywood no? Pero ngayon, nakikita mo may Korea, hindi ba? And blockbusters.
Yes.
Blockbusters. Meron din tayong tinatawag sa Netflix din nakikita ko, Nigeria, may Nollywood. Hindi lang they call it Nollywood yata, no? So andyan talaga. In other words, it's possible to break in globally, no? Through local culture. Kasi siyempre, the Nigerians cannot pretend to be Koreans.
Yeah.
And their situation is different. Now, having said that, let me just say where I'm coming from. Kasi sa DFA, meron supposed to be tatlong sa foreign affairs, may tatlong legs yan 3 pillars: economic security, national security, OFWs. Pero meron isang pang-apat actually. May pang-apat, pero hindi siya na pupush pa. It's called cultural diplomacy. Cultural diplomacy, or basically also they call it sometimes Philippine branding, no? But pero kasi dapat kasi napag-uisipan talaga. It's not something that you just produce with a few guys in the side. A lot of it there should be a lot of research done and all that. Pero let me just go back. Why is cultural diplomacy, which is like arts and entertainment, culture, take note, NCCA, take note.
Yeah.
Ricardo Labad, calling out. Kasi nag-usap na kami niyan Alam mo kasi, yung katulad ng yung economic diplomacy, usually, kung talagang ang galing mo na talaga, your economic powerhouse, hindi pa tayo dyan wala pa tayo.
Wala pa.
Militarily, economic powerhouse din tayo, hindi pa rin tayo dyan. Kaya nga, we hope that this next years will be our quiet years of building up domestically, no? Yung quiet lang tayo, pero build up, syempre. Pero in the meantime, andyan na tayo sa cultural diplomacy. Alam mo, meron tayong 10 million Filipino ambassadors abroad. Yung ating mga OFW, okay, wag sabihin natin, iba assimilated na, okay, naging kanuna sila, so medyo yung nakalimutan na siguro nila Pilipinas. Pero, you know, they're at least what? You know, for example, in the Middle East, 400,000, 600,000. In Europe, there are how many Filipinos? Alam mo, ang Pilipino, pag na-abroad, napaka-charming. Ewan ko ba, ang galing talaga ng Pilipino makipag-deal. You know, ang galing. Siguro kasama na ating survival instincts yan. You know? Pero, culturally, ang dami kasing magaling na pwedeng mangyari. There's a guy I really like. His name is Chef JP Anglo. I don't know if
yes, I saw yesterday on YouTube. Okay.
I follow the guy because he set up this, what do you call it? A restaurant in Dubai.
Yes.
You know, and ang dami yung mga gimmick, but basically it's all Filipino cooking, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
yes, I saw.
Konting drama. But you know, these are some of the things na kasama sa cultural diplomacy, kasama sa arts and entertainment. But that's abroad. Locally, what can we do? Pagbukas nung what yung somebody was talking. You know, you can have dinner theaters. We can, you know.
Yes.
Alam mo, yung musicals, ang galing. You know, even what's her name? Even Lea Salonga, after her stint in Broadway, she, for example, she does what you call nightclub shows. I mean, not nightclub the way we think nightclub, but you know, really, Cafe Carlisle, for example.
Yeah.
She has beautiful, you know, events there. So, the point is, ang dami talagang pwede natin gawin, specifically designed to bring in tourists, even local tourists.
Yes.
You know, it's about time that we really upscale.
I agree. So we're focusing on ourselves first, really.
Muna, yes.
Yeah.
Maalala mo yung singing waiters and stuff like
yes, that was so patok na patok.
Patok na patok. Ang galing nila eh, di ba?
Yeah.
But we can do that and upscale it some more, you know.
Right.
Upscale it some. That can be done.
Yes.
That can really be done.
Didn't Korea do that? I mean, I've never been to Korea, but my relatives, my mom for one, was telling me that before they actually even opened up to anyone else, they focused on themselves first. Like
Right.
there was a time where you will not actually even find KFC chicken.
Wala.
It's just like bonchon, that's their own
Right,
chicken, right? So they focus on themselves first. And they, in terms of film, the film industry, they did exactly that as well, and then brought it out to the world.
Correct.
Right? So I guess we can do the same.
And
We can
especially-
learn from them.
For example, if we said na we would encourage our filmmakers to. I understand people want they use film art as protest, but aside from that, why can't we also build up the nation? Nation building
Yes.
instead of social. I understand social realism, you know, that I understand. Pero at a certain stage, we can have poverty porn already, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's too much, you know, parang ganun. I think we can, you know, look at it from another angle and say, hey, these are some of our good qualities, and why don't we build up along that line instead of protesting?
And be exactly what you said, a good marketing tool.
Correct.
Right? I agree. 100%. That's awesome, Sec Abella. And so, of course, next, you're talking about the purpose of a nation. And, you know, the youth understand, what's my purpose? And that's their question. How can I understand this purpose? Right? To all the other teachers there, like, what purpose? You know, what's our purpose? Well, that's the basic question that they ask. What purpose? What's my purpose in this nation where, like I said, sa tingin nila, ang gulo-gulo natin. Diba? The grown-ups are so magulo. Right? And I just want to do my own thing. So what is their purpose?
May tanong ako, Pia, because it's interesting. Everything's so magulo, sabi mo.
Yeah, I find them so funny, Sec Abella, really funny. But they ask these questions.
Correct. No. Nakakatawa. Kunyari magulo ang bahay, ano ba dapat ang gawin?
Ako? Kung ako sasagot yan, edi syempre tumulong.
Okay.
Di ba sa akin yun?
Pero tumulong
Pero sa
na
akin.
dagdagan ng gulo o ano?
Or lessen, syempre.
Lessen the gulo.
Bawasan yung
Ayusin.
dulo.
Put everything in place. Di ba? Put everything in place. Siguro, ang purpose talaga ng bayan is number one, to survive. Akala kasi natin, talagang, akala natin nakataga sa bato na talagang ang Pilipinas nandyan hanggang-hanggan. No. Pwedeng bumagsak ang Pilipinas. And it's happened maybe several times na pwedeng mawala ang bayan. Hindi ko sabihin. Pero talagang tayo, like for example, hindi ako nag-ano pero kung magpapatuloy at dumami ang mahirap at gutom, hindi lang yung mahirap, kundi yung gutom. Ang hirap na gutom. We could be sitting on a social volcano.
Yeah.
Let that sink in.
No, that hit me hard. Okay.
That can be very hard. Pwedeng magkaroon ng ganon. And not only that, kung talagang tuloy-tuloy ito, alam mo, Pia, before nagkaroon ng pandemic, 4,000 tao ang pumupunta araw-araw sa DFA, humihingi, nag-a-apply ng passport. So yung mga tao natin, especially yung mga qualified o medyo qualified, hindi gaano, nag-aalisan.
Yeah.
4,000 times 5, 20,000.
Yeah.
20,000 times 4. 8 times 12.
Wow, that's a huge number.
Huge number. Umaalis yan.
Yeah.
Of course, nagpapadala ng pera. Nagpapadala ng pera. Pero ano mangyayari? Nangyayari, doon lang yun nagpapadala ng pera. Alam mo nangyayari actually, Pia, kasi may pera, bibili, which is great, but we're becoming a consumer nation.
Yeah.
We have become a consumer nation. Gasto lang tayo ng gasto. Hindi natin nakita na hindi kasi bakit ka mag-i-invest dito? Alis din naman tayo. Walang kwenta naman itong Pilipinas na ito. Parang gano'n. No. Kung pwede talaga, balikan natin balikan natin. Kailangan magkaroon tayo ng pagmamahal sa bayan para mag-invest tayo rito para meron tayong babalikan. Gusto rin naman lang bumalik Gusto for good. Pero pag hindi natin inalagaan ang bayan, pag hindi tayo lumahok sa pagbubuo ng bayan, if we do not become part of nation building, there will be no Philippines to go back to.
Right. Yes.
Mawawala.
Right? Because going back to what you said earlier, ano ang babalikan nila?
Correct.
Diba? Yeah. Kailangan meron sila.
So we need to survive and thrive. To survive, we need to have a just society. We need to have a peaceful society. We need to have a society that takes care of its people.
Yeah, I agree.
We need to be able to take care of our people. Yung mga bata na alagaan, yung matatanda na alagaan, yung mga nagtatrabaho. And habang nagtatrabaho ka, magbigay ka, oy.
Yeah, oo. Diba? Magbigay ka, oy. Tama, agree ako dyan. But now I'll interject, sir. In this whole scenario, it's the right thing to do. But to have the right attitude and the right values to be able to do it matters, right? So I also heard you speak about early childhood education. And on Facebook, we will see a lot, balik yan, GMRC, good manners and right conduct. And this is where things begin for every individual. The values sink in early childhood education. Could you further expound on this for us?
Alam mo, there are several places that we can unang-una pagbasaya ang tao. Lilitaw. Pag medyo busog, napansin mo, pag medyo medyo mas busog ka. When things are going well, you tend to be more, you're nicer.
You're nicer. Yeah. Relaxed. Yeah.
Okay. But of course, hindi naman everyday, tawag niyan. Ang buhay ay laging masaya. May mga panahon talaga na medyo Pero meron kasing other areas na kung saan magagaan. Aside from economics, meron talagang ibang lugar na paghuhugutan ng anong tawag ito, yung integridad tsaka para maging matibay ang loob. Ang isa talaga, of course, yung values na naipasa-pasa. Like for example, alam mo, I grew up with my parents were exposed to American culture. You know, like for example, my mother worked with missionaries. My father went to the States to study high school, college. So pagbalik nila, hindi sila ma-accent, pero nakuha nila yung personal responsibility, yung values, na ipampasa nila. The reason binanggit ko about yung Amerikano, kasi yung Amerikano kasi iba rin ang perspective nila sa trabaho. You know, medyo na free sila from the colonial thing about kailangan farmer, kailangan may malaking profit. Nawala yun. So, the other thing na nakita ko, Pia, is malaking bagay yung, let's say, yung spiritual community mo. You know, yung...
Yeah. It's like a support, your support.
Hindi yung nagsisimba ka, pero meron kayong grupo na kung saan pare-pareho yung values nyo.
Yes.
Pare-pareho yung values nyo, pare-pareho yung pananaw nyo.
Yeah.
For example, like, kung nadinig ng mga bata na hindi kayo nagmumura, hindi rin sila nagmumura.
Yeah.
Pero, you know, kung kumbaga nakita nila na hindi nagugulangan ng mga tao, hindi nagugulangan, hindi rin sila gumugulang, nagkikipaggulangan. For example, if they can see that you can handle your drinks properly, or they also handle their drinks properly.
Yeah. They after all become just like you sometimes, right?
Correct. A lot of times.
Like, thank God I'm not that bad because my kids are like Dean's Listers and First Honors. I must have done something right.
Yeah, somewhere in your
childhood. Yeah. Thank you, Lord. Right. Do you believe, sir, that education is the greatest equalizer?
Definitely. Of course, I passed a time when I thought na okay lang, sige, magnegosyante ka lang kayo. And which is fine, you know. But now I realize, for example, my kids, they tend to, they're lifelong learners.
Nice. Yeah.
Kumbaga nag-aaral sila on their own. They study this, they study that, they study. And not necessarily academic, pero yung they learn skills, no. So, but kung kasi, like for example, China, let me go back to China. There is some analysts have said the reason why China is so progressive is because of three things. Number one, they emphasize education. But importante talaga, hindi lang yung pasok ka, let's say, I don't know, I was privileged to go to, let's say, Ateneo, no? So after my public school days. So, ang laking advantage actually kasi if you're able to go to a school that has self-confidence.
That's true.
On the other hand, ang laking advantage din talaga when you realize that you've gone to school and you've had teachers. You've had inspiring teachers. What do you mean inspiring teachers? But aside from those two things, you also need a place where you're really able to learn mastery.
Yes.
Mastery is very, very important. You know, my kids went to Davao Christian High School in Davao. And my God, practically the whole school. Kala mo pag alas 5 tapos na sila? Hindi. Meron pa silang 5:30 to 7:30 mag-tutoring. Every single day.
Gosh.
Every single
day. That's a lot of time in school.
I know. So may tutoring sila. Hindi ito yung it's either catch up or advance, you know. You know, so my kids, my grandchildren right now, they go to what they call it. It's a school that has individualized learning. So
nice. We were like that in Poveda, yeah.
Sa so okay.
Yeah.
So individualized learning, right? You know, and so they learn a lot of discipline. Iba kasi pag nag-aral, when you go to a school that has, hindi lang basta nakapag-attend ka, you know, there's enough attention. You went to a good school, you know, you're given attention, you're given this, you're given that. Yan ang desire. That's why we set up a school.
Yes.
Ourselves, yung South Point. Sabi ko, hindi naman kailangan lahat punta Ateneo, but sabi ko, we can make it more democratic. But definitely, sabi ko, kailangan yung ating mga teachers talagang critical thinkers, inspirers, you know. So, ganun nga nangyari.
I'd love to go back to your school to see how that works. My last question for you,